So I've been on HRT for 18 months or a year and a half, and this past 6 months, I haven't noticed much of a change, which is to be expected. Not nearly as much as a change as a change of the previous 6 months, or the first 6 months then. But I was kind of hoping that things would still be changing, like maybe there'd be some more changes in store. Because like for instance, my chest pretty much stopped growing at 10 or 11 months, and like, I don't know, over the past 6 months, I haven't noticed any obvious changes. At least, well, I have some written down. We'll go over that later. But I haven't noticed as many obvious changes. And I've also kind of gotten less sure of myself. Not like less sure of if I want to do transition. It's like I cannot. There is no going back. I do not want to go back. But like, I think a lot of things having to do with my job, YouTube, having to deal with comments, but also having to deal with just my own, like, I'm too close to myself to be a perfect judge of myself and if my transition has gone okay. And also a little bit of my personal surroundings. Because, for instance, was it like 5 months ago? 4 months ago or so. Yeah, 5 months ago, I was living in California. And out there, I would regularly interact with people that did not know me. And they would almost always consider me, or they would almost always identify me as she. And that was really nice. That was like, wow, this is like my transition is actually like, I'm not telling anybody to do this, but they're automatically doing this. Fuck yeah. And even some of my coworkers, they started changing pronouns on me, especially near the end. And I never told them to do that. Sometimes they would ask me if I wanted to, and I'd be like, no, just do whatever. Call a spade a spade. But then I moved back to Illinois, and all the people that know me have it burned into their mind that I'm a he, and that can be kind of difficult whenever everybody consistently, well, pretty much everybody consistently calls me he. And the thing is, like, now I even have asked people, hey, it would be really nice if you switch pronouns. And they're like, okay. And they switch pronouns for like an hour, and then they go back to he. And it's just like, well, now I feel bad for asking someone to do that. And I also feel worse that I asked, and then they didn't care enough to where they forgot. And then, like, asking made it worse, for me at least. Because then I feel like if I ask, I worry that I'm like stuck in a bubble. Because that's the one thing I hate. I would hate to be stuck in a bubble. Whenever I go to when I go to San Francisco to my gender transition clinic, the waiting room is just full of, no offense, but it's full of freaks. Like a person that looks like Leonard Nimoy. Doesn't look like they've had any HRT. Has a shitload of makeup on. Sounds like a guy. But wears very skimpy stripper clothes. And it's just like, wow, you are 90 some years old, you look like it. What kind of bubble do you have to live in? And it's like, that kind of scares me to ever, like, I guess, experiment with like my own fashion or anything, because it's like, holy fuck, I do not want to be like those creeps. And sure, I know they're people too, but it's just fucking weird. And they're a good example of what not to be, I guess, but maybe too good of an example of what not to be. Or maybe I'm just a huge asshole. That could be true. So, yeah. I feel like there probably has been some improvement, but here recently I've just kind of gotten like less sure of myself and just kind of like a little more depressed, I guess. To be honest, I think a lot has to do with moving back to Illinois. But I'm way more happy here for other reasons, so that it is a good trade-off. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not, like, I feel kind of more like, Because before I felt kind of more entitled to consider myself female. But now I feel kind of less entitled and less entitled to do feminine things. Like, for instance, for the past years, like 6 years, I've been wanting to change my hairstyle. And I think I might be close to changing my hairstyle. Like, oh, I might finally decide something. I don't know. Like, probably just cut it shorter and just, like, keep cutting it shorter and then see if I kind of lean any interesting direction with it. But, well, now I feel like, because everybody consistently calls me he, it seems, like, because everybody seems to know me around here, that a part of me seems to think, well, have they not made the switch because I've kind of failed at transition? You know what I mean? And then I would hate to have, like, I would hate to be, like, obviously male, and then have, like, a very feminine haircut and just look, I would hate to look bad. Because my goal isn't to look feminine. My goal is to look good. For me, that happens to be feminine. Well, closer to feminine. But, I don't know. That's just kind of, just a whole clusterfuck of shit. You know? That's a little bit of a ramble. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'm just feeling kind of, I feel like, observationally, I don't see myself any worse than before. But here recently, I've just been kind of feeling like, almost like I'm taking steps backwards in my transition. Maybe not physically, but I don't know. Well, let's check the list that I've written down. I've also noticed me being a lot more emotional too. Like, for instance, past couple months on the emotion list, whew, like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a good number of, like, 4 or 5 emotional instances per month. Whereas before, like, still not before transition, but still during transition, I would get like 1 or 2 emotional instances per month, and like it's just something totally, like, I kind of didn't expect it from me. But, like, so I spent $2,000 on a very fancy thermal camera. Unfortunately, it runs off the CPU of a phone, an Android phone, and I happen to have Apple phones. So I had to buy an Android phone. So I got one from Amazon, tried to set it up, and it had 500 bloatware apps for, like, Yahoo Messenger and shit. It's like, I don't need that. Get it off my fucking phone so I can actually save files to it. And it's not just cluttered up with Facebook apps and whatnot. And, like, every single time I tried to do something with that phone, I tried to delete something, I wasn't able to do it because I didn't have root access. If I connected it up to a computer, I couldn't transfer files via USB because I didn't have root access. And it's just like, I'm thinking, like, Amazon whatever Amazon store sold it, put their own OS or something on it. But I just got so fucking pissed at the phone that I did a full reset. I packaged it back up in the container, and then just cried. That was my answer to being angry. Whereas probably a few months before, I probably would have been okay. So maybe I'm just fucked up here recently. I don't know. So, I have gained some weight, but that happened to coincide with whenever I got back. So, as soon as I got back to Illinois, I had more time to eat. And I was actually remembering to eat too. Well, remembering to eat at least once a day, I mean. So I went from 122 pounds to 133 or so pounds. Haven't weighed myself since, though. Okay, so I started my transition 2015, June 21st. Then we can go to... Okay. This was about 1 year in. 1 year, 1 month in. I think my boobs are growing again. They feel fuller, but don't measure too much bigger. Okay, so at that point, I believe I was mostly transitioning through, what is it, the Tanner stage, where basically whenever the breast grows, it starts out as a bud, I think. And that's kind of a hard lump underneath your nipple, and that kind of grows. And then after your boob's done growing, I think it's after you're done growing, or maybe it's just one stage in between, that softens and starts feeling like a boob then. And it's like, wow, awesome. And it was also, it's just like the characteristics were changing and whatnot. It was kind of cool. I really liked it. I was hoping that something else would happen, like maybe I get a little bit more mass there, but whatever. But yeah, so about 13 months in, I noticed that, well, I would say about 13 to 15 months in, that was whenever I'd consider the finalization of the breasts. Because before that, I still had the same size. Like whenever I measure around my chest at nipple height, it was still the same size, but the actual characteristics of the material was changing. And also happened to coincide whenever, like, usually I masturbate like once a month, if even that. But when I do, through that time, as like we'll just call it the breast finalization time, I got more like, these became like a sexual organ almost. Like anytime I masturbate, I have to like do that. I know it's so fucking weird, but now it's not like I'll get sexual stimulation from that if I'm not turned on. So like if I'm not turned on, like right now, I touch this, like that feels cool. That just feels fucking cool. But then if I happen to be turned on, then that feeling is kind of like helps turn me on, if that makes sense. Hope that's not too weird. Well, yes. About 15 months in or so, 14 months in, I noticed that my arms had more skin or not skin, more they were softer. They were a little bit softer, and like I could just like wow, they feel feminine, I guess. They're just like, there seems to be like a thin layer of more fat underneath the skin, so it's like it's like really really soft. I would wake up in the morning and be like, wow, this is like really really soft. I like it. This is fucking cool. Then in about 15 or 16 months in, I noticed my nipples are darker. They stick out a bit more and seem to lean down a bit. Yeah, that was kind of odd. They just, I think it was just because, I don't fucking know. Well, I mean, we can try it. We can just check. So, I've noticed that this part, what's it called, the areolae or something like that? I'm not sure. It seems to have gotten a little bit bigger. But, of course, it changes size depending on, like, yeah, it's like, it's odd that the nipples change, like, configuration almost. They never did that before, but now they do. Like, whenever it's cold outside, they get, like, really tiny. But then whenever I'm sexually aroused, sometimes they'll get really big. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? This is so fucking weird. And so, yeah. Oh, also, I guess this can cover my, like, part where I show you my chest growth. So, yeah, this is basically really all I got. I mean, it's not that much. But they are cool. I could go for if they were a little bit bigger, though. Like, because, like, with this, I might look like someone that just has, what's it like, I might look like a guy that has, what's it, gynecomastia, or whatever. I would kind of like to have something that's a teeny tiny bit bigger, you know? It's like, maybe nicer to touch. I don't know. I'm not trying to get weird, but it's a weird, humans are a weird thing. Yes. Now, I hadn't wrote this down whenever I noticed it, but sometime in late 2016, I noticed that my hair has like brown streaks in it now. Like light brown streaks. It never had that before. So weird. So evidently, does estrogen affect your hair? Because I think it has to do something with, like, your hair is more sensitive to sunlight or something like that. Also, I've noticed that my nose gets colder. Because, like, if I look at it with a thermal camera, you can notice that my nose is actually colder, and before, my nose was always warmer. So I think my entire thermal profile has kind of changed, which is interesting. Oh yeah, sometimes whenever I'm in the sun, I'll now get freckles on my arms. Like little freckles all up and down my arms. And that's kind of interesting. And like some of them are even somewhat visible now, but they're very light. It's kind of weird. My mom and her husband just got home, and they're talking all about D&D and whatnot, so I'm just going to come down here, because once they start talking about their D&D game, they don't really shut up. I turned up the heater, so it should be not freezing after a little while down here. God, they're so fucking noisy. I don't know how somebody can be so fucking noisy. Anyway, so freckles. Freckles. Let's just go on to freckles, okay? So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I guess my skin's more sensitive to sunlight. I don't know, but in like an odd way. I've never gotten a sunburn. I just tan really well, so it's kind of nice. I don't know if that's related. In November, so that was about like 15 or 16 months into the transition, I wrote, I feel I may be able to wear more feminine clothing without looking too strange. I was feeling kind of good that day, and I was like, you know what, maybe I could. But since then, I've kind of felt like, I don't know. I just feel kind of shit, you know what I mean? But that's why I can do it, check in at 2 years, and we can see if I'm any different. Could just be a phase I'm going through. And then, of course, here recently I wrote, I'm not sure if I made enough progress depressing how people who know me call me male and somewhat blah blah blah. And, yes, so I have a few other notes on here that I would like to mention. I think one other aspect to why here recently I've been kind of, like, because I've been kind of wondering, like, what am I doing wrong? What did I do wrong? Why do I suck so much? And one answer to that might be, because it's not why do I suck so much, it's why can't I be like that person? Why can't I be like them? Why do I suck so much compared to them? Like, let's just take some, like, every so often there's some people that I'm like, wow, they're really cool. Like Dodger Lay or Stephanie Margette. She's really cool. And people like that, I'm like, wow, it'd be so awesome if I could learn something from them. But I don't even know, like, I had that sense like, wow, I'm so fucking it up compared to them. But they're doing something really well. They're being interesting. It might just be that people look better at a distance, and I'm just too close to myself to even to be able to have any usable perspective of myself. I can have a perspective of everyone else, but I don't have a perspective of myself that can be relied upon, you know? And so I'm almost in like my own bubble of negativity. I don't know. It's weird. And then, of course, there's always like people on this channel. People are very complimentary towards me, and if that's the right term, and they're kind of really nice about it. You guys are, but at the same time, whenever it's a compliment, I kind of disregard it on YouTube because, well, you guys don't know my entire life, and if you saw me in person, I'd figure you would think I didn't look nearly as good as you say I do. So I don't know. That might be negative, or that might just be the realities that I'm taking into account. I don't know. It is really nice though that I'm nowhere near as depressed as I was way before a transition. So that's really good. Like, starting transition, even though I might have some things weighing heavily on my mind now, I'm not like crippled with depression, and that's pretty good. That's like, yeah, that's pretty much worth it. Oh yeah, so this also covers on another aspect I may have mentioned. I'm having a hard time remembering. And I've been wanting to kind of change my style. Because, like, for instance, my Posey Piper 5s, these are the boots that Rey wears in Star Wars Episode 7, and I think Episode 8 and whatnot, probably too. But I bought them for a cosplay, and I really like them, and I kind of feel like they're just a nice style. And, I don't know, like, sometimes I feel like maybe I don't have any style. But then there's all these other people that have horrible fucking styles. Like, the stuff that you can buy in stores is just shit looking. Kind of like this jacket. I have issues with it, but it's cheap and it's warm. That looks kind of cooler. But yeah. So, like, for a long time, but particularly now, I've been on more of a lookout for, like, ways to change my outward appearance to be more interesting or unique or more consistent. I don't know. And one of those has to be with changing my hairstyle. That'd be kind of cool. But at the same note, I feel like I've already. I'm okay with having this hairstyle. Well, you see, there's two different things. I kind of want to change my hairstyle because I get so many comments of "cut your hair, you fucking hippie faggot" on my main channel, and even on this channel too. That it is kind of annoying. Like, people have called me hippie hair. It's like, oh, what an insult. And they're like, whoa, why would that insult you? It's like, why would that not insult me? Are you fucking dense? I don't get it. I don't know. But I do understand that maybe I do have, like, just kind of like guyish hair. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to change it up a little bit and make it a little more feminine. And I'm not exactly meaning to do it just for someone else's opinion. I'm not exactly meaning that. But other people's views do weigh do weigh in on your own view because they are a reaction to how you look, whether good or bad. You know what I mean? So it is almost impossible to disregard that because that's just how we work. That's how humans work. And then there comes the issue of, like, deciding how the fuck do I change my style? What do I even want? Does there even exist something that I would want more than this, or am I just wanting something that doesn't exist? You know. But yeah, I should just end the thing here. So, the third block of 6 months has been okay. I'm happy with the changes. I'm happy with the changes so far. If I only have these changes, if I look exactly the same in like a year and a half from now, I might not be as happy. Like, I could see myself maybe, like, if I become more sure of myself and willing to actually, like, I don't know, I'm not willing, but feel more secure with looking more feminine, I might get, I don't know, I could see myself getting just like breast augmentation. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be really fucking cool. I don't know. And I wonder if I did that, if more people would, like, identify me as female. Or if they would identify me as a freak or a faggot. I don't know. It's weird. Oh well. It's just a lot of stuff on my mind. So it's easy to think that I'm done with transition, but chances are, I don't think I'm probably done with transition at a year and a half. Most likely there's going to be more stuff. Hopefully there's going to be more stuff. I really hope there's going to be more stuff, but who knows? I don't know. I would like to hear you guys' opinions of if there were many changes after a year and a half. Like physical ones. Maybe psychological, but mostly physical, because, like, I'm really curious about that. I'll keep documenting my changes in my journey, or whatever I should call it. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.